In this quick video, we're exploring a powerful idea that every recruiter and every strategic business leader should understand, and it's called the Doorman Fallacy. Now, it's a really simple concept, but it's one that explains why lots of organizations sometimes make terrible hiring decisions, eliminate really valuable roles, or just fail to recognize who the high-performing employees actually are. The term doorman fallacy was coined by British advertising executive and behavioural economics thinker Rory Sutherland in his 2019 book Alchemy. Sutherland tells the story of a hotel doorman. Imagine a consultant walking into a hotel and asking a simple question. What does the doorman do? Well, the answer seems obvious. He opens doors. So the consultant calculates his salary, compares it to the cost of installing automatic doors, and recommends eliminating the position. The hotel saves money, and the consultant claims success. But there's a problem. The doorman never really existed to open doors. He greets guests, he recognises returning customers, he helps with luggage, he calls taxis, he discourages unwanted visitors. He creates a feeling of safety and prestige. He acts essentially as a human ambassador for the hotel brand. In other words, that the visible task is only a tiny fraction of the value that's actually being delivered. And without him, the luxury image of the hotel and the customer view of its amazing service is lost, even though none of that is in the doorman's job description. And that's the doorman fallacy. It's easy for a manager to reduce a role to its most obvious function while completely ignoring the broader value that it creates. And this mistake is incredibly common, especially in human resources. I mean, consider recruitment. Organisations often write job descriptions that focus heavily on technical skills and measurable qualifications, years of experience, software proficiency, industry certifications. Now these things do matter. But what about the candidate that builds trust quickly, the one who can calm anxious clients, the one who mentors new hires without being asked, the team member that prevents conflict before it escalates in the team? These contributions are much harder to measure, but they frequently drive performance far more than the items listed on a CV. When hiring managers focus only on what's easy to quantify, they risk selecting candidates who look perfect on paper but struggle with the human realities of work. The doorman fallacy also appears in performance management. So many organisations evaluate their employees against a really narrow set of metrics, sales volumes, call numbers, projects completed, tickets closed, things like that. But high-performing employees often contribute in invisible ways. They share knowledge, they strengthen culture, they help their colleagues to succeed, they act as informal leaders. If performance systems ignore those contributions, organisations might actually reward the wrong behaviours and lose the people who create long-term value. And that becomes even more dangerous during restructuring and cost-cutting exercises. A role may appear redundant because its output is difficult to measure, like our doorman. A coordinator, an administrator, a recruiter, an HR business partner, or a customer service representative, all of them might seem expensive relative to their visible outputs. But before eliminating the role, leaders should be asking a critical question. What value might we be losing that doesn't appear on a spreadsheet? Many organisations only discover the answer after the role disappears, when suddenly communication breaks down, customer satisfaction declines, and managers start having to spend more time solving problems that someone else that they've just made redundant quietly prevented before. The cost savings were visible immediately, but the value destruction emerged slowly afterwards. So what can managers do? Well, start by identifying the informal contributions that people make across the organisation. Challenge those overly simplistic job analyses that reduce human work to just a checklist of activities. And finally, remember that people create value through relationships, judgment, trust, and influence, not just through the tasks that are listed in their job descriptions. The lesson of the doorman fallacy is simple. The most important part of a person's contribution is often the part that's hardest to measure.